To take the meeting forward, let me invite our Area 20 Director, a humble and simple person, always smiling, Toastmaster Nisa. Lady Nisa, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Anita. Dear fellow Toastmasters and dear guests, good evening to you all. I suppose what you have just seen from my side, this is one of the challenges that leaders are facing these days. Things change for anyone at any time, and we have to face it and we have to keep going. In Division B and in our area, we are organizing this session as 1 out of 12. Division B has taken a very wonderful initiative this year. They are targeting 12 education sessions. And if you wonder why we are doing this, I can explain it this way. Toastmasters is not about only speaking, but it's mainly, as our motto is mentioning in all our literature, where leaders are made. To make a leader, to build a leader, you need communication skills and you need leadership skills. Now, leadership can be taken in 2 ways. One of these ways might be during the club meetings, you can take educational and leadership roles. So this is one way to build leaders by practice, as we are building leaders and communicators by practice. Another way to do it is to have educational sessions. This is why also educational sessions are there in club meetings. So we have Division B specifically has decided this year to have 12 educational sessions, and they have taken it from the problems we are facing in our everyday life in Toastmasters and from the club experiences. So the first one we have decided, Division B have decided to start with, is how to plan for the Toastmasters year, which we have still 11 months ahead. A lot of challenges, COVID-19 is there, and the basic main challenges still valid from year to year. In order to overcome that, we need to hear something from the experts, people who have been in Toastmasters for a long time, who have done president and area director, division director, all these things. They can help us with their practical experience. And tonight, we didn't find anyone better to talk about the challenges, about the leadership roles, and share his experience better than our distinguished Toastmaster, Ramesh Ananathraman. He's been in Toastmasters for a very long time. He has experienced all these things, and we are very privileged and honored to have him with us tonight to share his experience. Without further ado, let's all put our hands together to welcome our one and only DTM Ramesh Ananathraman.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Nizar, Area Director, and thank you for this kind words. And today what I'm going to talk about is goal setting and planning. Even though this, we are talking about from the context of Toastmasters, whatever I'm going to speak today is going to be applicable in all aspects of life, not just in your professional life. I always believe that the goal setting and planning needs to happen as part of your daily life, be it in your family, and especially when you have to plan a weekend taking your wife out. Make sure you have your goals and plans properly in place. You wouldn't want to have any unpleasant surprises in that. So before I kick off the session, I just want to know a little bit about the audience. What is it you are expecting? I've got a couple of polls set up just to get to know a bit more about you. Bosco, if we can kick off the first poll. And this is a simple one. None of these polls are going to be very complicated. You definitely don't need your calculators. And I just want, number one, I want to know how many club officers are here. Just give 5 more seconds for people to finish their polling.
We have 45 participants, around 30 have replied.
And the Bosco co-host and host cannot.
Okay, 41. It's showing 41.
Okay. So I think we have good numbers and we have 100% club officers. Bosco, I think we can end this polling, and if we can pick off the poll number 2 now. And what I've asked for is the main reason. I think we have good numbers. I've just ended the polling and I'm going to share the results with you. If you look at it, quite close to 48% of the club officers are mentioned. And incidentally, we have 100% of the participants today are either current club officers or past club officers. And if you look at it, about 48% have said that there is some particular skill which they want to learn or sharpen being a club officer. Whereas we have about 52% who have come here from the responsibility of what we call service, providing service either to Toastmasters or International or Toastmasters members of the club. And it is these 52% of the people whose opinion I want to change. Now, why is it I say it's a concern when people are saying that, oh, they've come and taken up as a role as a service, being service oriented. I want to serve my members. I want to serve Toastmasters International. Why do I say this is not appropriate or this is not an ideal one? If you look at Toastmasters, they call as an inverted pyramid. What do we mean by an inverted pyramid? It's not just the members are at the top. It is the members' needs which are at the top. And that is the reason why this as an organization has sustained, going to be for 100 years now, sustained without any huge marketing and sustained by having just the members doing the talking. It is because everything what Toastmasters International speaks about or does is keeping into account the members' progress in mind. And when we say that it's the members' progress in mind, it's no different for club officers. A club officer's role is to help the members of Toastmasters International improve their leadership skills. And we say that it helps to serve the club, helps to serve the community, helps to serve Toastmasters International. From my perspective, that comes as a byproduct, not as a core product. So from my perspective, when you join Toastmasters International, when you take up a club officer's role, you need to look at it and saying that what is it in this role which is going to help me become a better leader? better person. And everything you do, you need to look at it and saying that this is not something which I'm coming to serve somebody. This is something which I'm doing to help me become better, help me either learn a new skill, be it in terms of project management, be it in terms of planning, be it in terms of event management, be it in terms of the soft skills. Quite often, what is missed out in all these club officer training are how do you learn the soft skills. From my perspective, one soft skill which is very, very essential uh, in the workplace now is emotional intelligence. And you have lots of skills, which courses which specializes in what is called as influencing without authority. And there are workshops conducted to say that how do you influence people when you don't have an authority, when you don't have the ability to direct them, to command them to do things. And the workplace is becoming more and more of that. Now, what is it we are doing as a club officer? Learning the skills of influencing without authority. Being a club officer, even if you're a president, you cannot command even your own ExCom members to say that I want you to do this. You can request them, you can coax them and say, can you do it? And if they tell you, no, I'm too busy, I've got pressing work commitments, I've got pressing personal commitments, you can't do anything. But that is where you improve your skill and saying that how do I get my club officer or my club member to do this without having the power to command them. This is called influencing without authority. And as a club officer, that is one thing which you learn a lot. Now, we're going to kick off today's session. And so I want everybody to have this mindset to say that as a club officer, everything I look at, what is it I am going to gain by doing this particular activity? And the moment you have that identified to say that this is what I'm going to learn from this, the journey becomes that much more easier, because when you encounter obstacles, you don't get frustrated. You have that much more motivation because your goals are internal driven. Your goals are not driven by, I'm going to give service to the members. Why is it people are not cooperating to me when all I'm attempting to do is help them? You change it and saying that, okay, this is something I'm doing for my benefit. And you will see overcoming challenges become that much more easier. So now, before I get into the session, I'm going to have one more poll. And I promise you, this is going to be the last poll for today. Bosco, can we have poll number 3 up, please? And be honest and vote. Thank you. I'm going to share the results here. We have 13% of the people who are wondering what is this club leadership handbook, and another 13% say that, okay, I just have it, I've not looked at what it is. And we have about 45% of the people who have just looked at what their role is. And we have 29%, 9 of the club officers here who have read it in entirety. I need everybody to give a big round of applause to those 29% of the people. Can we have a big round of applause, please? Thank you. And it is the reason I brought up this particular poll is quite often we do not value what we get for free. The Toastmasters International has got huge amount of resources, not just in terms of the club leadership handbook, but in terms of even the goal setting and planning. I didn't have to do much of preparation because the successful club series and the successful leadership series, these are all materials which have been prepared, which we can have it for free. And we have a lot of members, all of us go to online websites looking for subscription to courses, for materials, but here we have something for free and we don't quite often utilize it. Now, why is it I am talking about the club leadership handbook? Let me share my presentation. Anita, if you can confirm if you can see the presentation. Okay,
Yes,
thank you,
can.
Jyoti. Now, why do we need goals? Okay. I want to look at it and saying that we need goals because we need to know where is it how is it we are going to go. Without having a goal, where do we go? How do we go? So it's important that we identify what is it we are supposed to be achieving it. And from that perspective, it is important that all the club officers read through the entire club leadership handbook. I'm quite happy that, okay, close to 60% have read either the entire manual or read at least their part in the club leadership handbook. Why do I say that you need to look at the entire handbook? If you don't, even if you don't want to memorize it, study it, but at least you need to go through it once. Because in an XCOM meeting, when you have all the other club officers, your input is important for other club officers too. If a club PR officer, public relations officer, is talking about these are all the activities, these are all the things he or she is planning to do, and if you have not understood what the club PR role is, what are the club PR's responsibilities, how is it you're going to be contributing in the plan for the club PR? So it's important you understand each and every role of the club, even if you're not doing that particular role. Two things. Number one, you can participate effectively in the XCOM meetings and support the officer. And number two, in case that particular club officer is not able to perform his role, not able to do his duties, one of the other club officers would be able to understand these are all the things missing and step in and do that. So for you to be able to do that, you need to understand what are the roles and what are the responsibilities of each and every club officer. Now, what is a goal? A goal is a specific objective for you and your team to achieve. Now, how do we have what do we call as, and once we finished about the goals, we're going to talk a little bit about the plan. Planning is how are we planning to achieve these goals? Number one, have the goals, and number two, this is the path I'm going to take to achieve these goals. Now, what are the characteristics of the goals? I'm sure all of you would have attended courses which talk about SMART objectives, SMART goals, because your goal needs to be specific. A VP membership cannot come back with a statement to say that, oh, I want to increase the membership of the club. It needs to be specific to say that I want to increase the membership from X to Y. And the goals have to be measurable. That's the reason why I said, okay, where it's an appropriate one, put a number. If it's a club VP PR, the club VP PR is going to say, I'm going to publish X number of newsletters. And the club's secretary is going to specify, I am going to issue a meeting, minutes of the meeting after every club meeting, after every EXCO meeting. Action oriented. Okay, what is the specific action you're going to do? It says, I'm going to increase the membership. I'm going to send the minutes of the meeting. And the goals have to be realistic. Okay. If a club is struggling and I've got 23 members, you cannot put a goal which says that, oh, before end of this year, I'm going to have 100 members of this club. It's not a realistic one. You always look at it and saying the benchmark, what are the other clubs? What is the best others have achieved? And you want to say, I want to be, create a breakthrough in membership. You say that, okay, I'm going to, whatever best somebody has done, I'm going to do it better by 10% or 20%. It cannot be an unrealistic one and time bound. Everything needs to have a time attached to it. If it's a club secretary, the club secretary is going to say, I'm going to send the minutes of the meeting. When are you going to send it? It says within X number of hours or X number of days after the meeting is completed. You cannot say that, oh, I'm going to give minutes of the meeting and prepare all the 52 meeting minutes and send it at the end of the year and say, here are the 52 minutes of the meetings for this entire year. You need to have time-bound actions for each and everything. Now, implementing goals, okay, involve the team members in setting goals. Why do I say involve the team members in setting goals? Two things. Number one, your members are going to validate whether your goals are SMART goals. And number two, you are putting out a commitment to say that, okay, when I say that I'm going to send the minutes of the meeting 2 days after every meeting, if you don't do it, somebody is going to point out and ask you to say that, okay, where is it? I always use this and I always put it as kind of sending my intention out in the world. And if I want to tell somebody, you know what, I'm going to do my master's in data science, and I send it across, broadcast it across to my friends group, my colleague group. And every time I bump into somebody asking, oh, he wanted to do a course on data science, so how is it going? And if you have not done anything, he said, oh my God, I better start working on it because people, I don't want to embarrass myself. So involve team members in setting the goals and write each goal. So shall it be written and so shall it be done. What you write, you emphasize and saying that this is what it is. It's a written commitment from me. And consider what you should do to achieve it. It's no point just saying that I'm going to send the minutes of the meeting and you were happily singing and dancing around and putting your mic on mute when the entire meeting is going on. You said, okay, what is it I'm going to write? Because I'm not noted down anything. He said, if I'm going to do the minutes of the meeting, I need to be attentive. I need to understand. I need to watch what is happening in the meeting and say, that is what I'm going to be doing. Review progress. If you have a membership goal to say that I want to achieve additional 8 members in the first quarter of this year, every month you measure to say that out of the 8 members which I have targeted, how many have I achieved? No point waiting till the last month and the end of the quarter and say, oh my God, I have not got any new members. I have to get now 8 new members this month. That's not going to be possible. And plan how you're going to do it. Now, planning. How does planning help in achieving the goals? Planning reinforces the goals. If you say that, okay, I'm going to send minutes of the meeting, or I'm going to publish a club newsletter, and when you plan, it says, these are the specific activities I'm going to do to help me achieve that goal. Makes leaders much more future oriented. Everything we plan in advance and we say, this is what I'm going to do in the future. It cannot be just thinking about the past. It should be saying that, how do I plan my future? Enables leaders coordinate decisions between you and your team. You have set out the plans and you have set out your goals, and it helps us achieve those ones and ensures efficient use of resources. When a plan has got 2 things associated with it, an activity which has to be done and the resource or the person who is going to be doing it. And once you have that particular resource assigned for it, for example, if you are going to conduct an open house and you say we need to arrange a venue. So who is it who is going to be arranging the venue? If you just put it in an action item, the XCOM needs to arrange a venue, you will have 7 people running around and coming up with 7 different options to arrange a venue, and everybody coming and saying that, oh, you know what, I've got a venue booked. That is not an efficient way to manage your resources. So you need to assign a specific resource for each and every action so that you have effective use of your time. I'm going to give, before I continue on this, I want to let you know that whatever I'm talking about, these are resources which are available in Toastmasters International. I would request the area director, Nizar, to share these resources. And it is not just this PowerPoint slide, it has also got a PDF document which details what are all the different actions and how do you achieve each one of those. So I would request Area Director Nizar to share this with all the participants of today. So what does it involve to create a plan? You need to have a strategy, be it in terms of membership growth, be it in terms of public relations activities. You need to have a strategy, and the strategy need to be time driven. And we said that efficient use of resources is important. That means we have to assign responsibility and anticipate obstacles. And I'm going to come back to anticipating obstacles a little later and modifying the plan as necessary. Now, we already discussed about why it is important to involve all the members. Not just, quite often, it is not just sufficient to involve just the XCOM members. All the XCOM members' plans needs to be shared with the club members so that the club members can contribute towards it. Something which is not practiced too often, but it was definitely there in, and I can say for sure in the Toastmasters Club, the beginning of the year, there will be a long business session where each and every member, each and every club officer will come and announce to the club to say that what are their specific objectives and goals for the year, and how is it they are planning to achieve it. And every club officer would have a few assistants, because the club officer's role is not just, okay, I'm going to fulfill my responsibility. A club officer's objective is also to ensure they groom future leaders. Ideally, a VP PR should have 2-3 assistants. A VP membership should have a VP membership team, which is going to look for how do I improve the club membership. So it's very important that you have as many team members as possible. Achievement of all the club goals should not be restricted just to the 7 club officers. The 7 club officers are going to be the people who are going to use the resources of the entire club members to achieve the goals. So these are the people who are going to plan and make use of the resources. So you have to use each and every member. You have to identify who are the key members who can get additional members to the club. Who are the key members who are going to help me in organizing events? So this is very important. And once you put forward your goals and your commitment across to the club members, you are going to be that much more accountable. Now, we spoke about obstacles, and this is something which I wanted to specifically talk about: course correction. And whenever I talk about course correction, I always go back to my professional life in the airline industry. And we have a flight which is going from Dubai to London Heathrow Airport. You have got a sophisticated flight plan. We have got satellites which monitor the weather, the winds at various levels, the temperature at various levels. You have all these sophisticated equipments which understand the performance of the aircraft And they create a plan to say that this is the exact route I'm going to go. This is how I'm going to set my engine throttles. This is the speed I'm going to go, and this is the heading I'm going to go. How often do you think the aircraft goes exactly as per plan? Okay, in a live session, I would have asked everybody's feedback. In reality, it is less than 1% of time, less than 1% of the time, the aircraft can goes as per the heading what is planned. Now, what does it do? Because irrespective of how much ever planning you do, how much ever sophistication you have all these weather satellites, mechanics which go, there are always unforeseen events. The plane's heading moves by about 0.1 degrees. And what do we do? What does the aircraft do? It continuously keeps correcting its course. It says that, okay, I'm slightly weighed off to the left. I'm going to change the rudder a little bit. I'm going to get back on track. It says, okay, got back on track. Within the next 30 seconds, there was a gust of wind. It veered off to the right. It says, I'm going to now again correct it back onto this. And the machines continuously keep correcting the courses. When these are the challenges, what we have with all this sophisticated equipments and the technology which is there, what happens in our life is going to be no different. You will always encounter unforeseen events, things which is going to take you off course. Now, there are two ways we can approach it. Number one, it says that, okay, what is the point in planning anything when there's going to be so much of obstacles, so much of things I have to change? Let me forget about planning. Is that what happens? We don't do. If a flight decides to say that, you know what, how much ever I plan, there's always going to be things which go way off. So forget about planning. Let me just take off and generally go towards London. And where do I go? Possibly you might go and land up in Reykjavik. That is not what we want to do. We want to say that I am going to reach this destination, and this is the direction and this is the path I have planned for it. And every time that there is some changes to it, there are some unforeseen events which is taking me off course, I'm going to apply course correction. It is no different in a club officer's role. You might have had a plan to say that I want to have X number of members, and accordingly, I'm going to have so much of revenue, and accordingly, I've planned events in some a gala event in Burj Al Arab, and this is what we have. And what happens when you are not able to get to those financial goals to make that possible? You need to have backup plans. Say that, okay, I may not be able to afford, the club may not be able to afford a gala event, a gala yearly dinner in Burj Al Arab, but can we do something in Movenpick? And otherwise, you need to look at it and saying that if that particular event is important for us, do we inform our members in advance to say that either everybody has to pitch in a little bit more, or we need to look at it and saying, how are we going to increase the membership so that the club gets more money? Course correction is a key aspect of everybody's life. Course correction is not restricted to your professional life. Course correction is not restricted to your club officer's duty. A course correction is a key ingredient of your life, be it in any aspect of life, be it in your personal life, be it in your education goals. You need to have constant review of the plan versus what is happening, and what are the corrections which I want to incorporate to ensure that I reach my goal. I can't emphasize the course correction enough. Now, it's important that after you have read through the club officer's manual, you understand the DCP goals, the Distinguished Club Performance Goals. Now, again, why do we have DCP goals? And saying that why does the club need to go and achieve these goals? should the club not be forgetting about? Oh, I want to be a distinguished club. I want to be a president's distinguished club. Forget about all of these and just focus on members. Now we want to focus on members, but how do we measure ourselves? And saying that, have we sufficiently empowered members? Are the education goals of the members fulfilled? Okay, it's very important that people understand the reason why somebody joins Toastmasters is not to have a good social gathering. They have goals. We say that, okay, it's Toastmasters event is going to be a little different education because we have a lot of fun and we learn while having fun. Quite often people forget the learning part of it and focus only on the fun part of it. You need to have fun, but we have to ensure that the learning does not get compromised because of the fun element. So that is the reason why we have a distinguished club program. This ensures that there is a benchmark, a yardstick. How do we measure the effectiveness of the club in all aspects? Being organized, achieving the education goals, because achieving the educational goals means all the club members have fulfilled or progressing towards the education goals, and ensuring that all the club officers are trained. So we have to ensure that the club officers need to perform their duties. They need to be trained to do those duties. And we have to ensure that, why do we say membership growth is important? Because as we get more and more people, we get to improve our learning more and more. And I guess I can take example from Dubai Toastmasters Club. It was the first club in Dubai and Northern Emirates. We have consistently had more than 60 plus members in the club. And if you have possibly the people with the most experience, I wouldn't like to call them as the oldest members, the members with the most experience in Toastmasters. But if you look at the executive committee of the club, it is made up of members or club officers who have less than 5 years of experience in Toastmasters. Quite often who have just completed 2 years or sometimes even just 1 year in Toastmasters. Now, constantly injecting what they call as new blood is key in helping us learn. In Dubai Toastmasters, all the senior members, be it International Past President, DTM Colonel Murad, or DTM Umar, or DTM VP, all of us learn from the new members. I often say that, everybody new comes in are my teachers. They come and teach us. We have Toastmaster Jyoti here, Toastmaster Bosco. All of us inject new blood, inject new learnings in all the distinguished Toastmasters. So the club's distinguished program is all about ensuring we have a yardstick, and the club does not veer away from its objective of making people better in communication, making people better in leadership. So it's very important that we understand the DCP program. And for members who have been there for a long time, it's very important that you understand that the DCP goals have changed. This year, we have the goals, which is a mix of the traditional program and the new pathways. The current year, that was the previous year. The current year, everything is going to be based on the pathways program. So you understand how these goals are, how the Distinguished Club program works, and have specific people who are going to fulfill each of these goals, and have backups in case these people are not able to do it, who are the other people who are going to fulfill it, and ensure that the club meets the Distinguished Club program or the President's Distinguished Club. And you should always look at it and saying that always aim high. If I need to have 5 people who are completed path 1, level 1, need to plan to say that I want to have 6 people completed. And he said, put internal yardstick in saying that every member who joins the club within the first 12 months, they should complete at least level 2 in the Pathways program. And the club's VP education plays a very crucial part in ensuring everybody meets the objective, ensure you have members. Quite often, if you see that you get these things in place, have right kind of mentorship, have an efficient education plan for each and every member, the DCP gets done automatically. If you plan it well, the DCP becomes a byproduct, and without you, before you even notice, you suddenly become a President's Distinguished Club before December, and quite often before March, and saying that I become President's Distinguished Club. Even though I did not specifically do it, I got all the core ingredients ready. And that is what is going to help you become a distinguished club. And that is what going to ensure that your club becomes a healthy club, and a club becomes one where everybody wants to come running towards. And I'm going to have a few few extra time for question and answers. It's very important that when you have the goals and you have a plan how to reach those goals, not only makes you a successful leader, it creates many successful leaders behind you. Thank you very much. And I would like to request Toastmaster Jyoti to start the Q&A.
Thank you, Ramesh sir, for that insightful session. I have quite a few good takeaways from this session, and I really love the analogy of the aircraft, especially on the course correction. And it's actually so true. It's not just important for our Toastmasters journey, but something which we can relate in our personal lives as well. Thank you so much, sir. We have one question from DTM Vinod for you. The question is, when a member joins, they don't have much idea about Toastmasters. So they join just to be better. But usually the VP education, they have some member learning goal. They set some member learning goal or leave it to the member to decide. So in your personal experience, not from the manual, what suggestions can you share to make the member understand the program and encourage them to set their own goals instead of VP education doing it for them?
I think ideally this should be done by the mentor of the new member. Okay, the VP education assigns a senior member as a mentor for a new member, and the mentor who speaks to the new member and identifies what is the reason they join Toastmasters. Incidentally, I am a mentor for one of the new members in one of the clubs, and I find that this person is already in one of the top executive in one of the small firms here. So the first thing is I need to find out to say that yes, you might already be a senior management category, you might already be a leader. I said still go through that path selection questionnaire quiz, identify which are the areas where you want to become better. It says however great you are, you can always become, there is always scope for you to become better. And this person incidentally chose what is called as innovative planning. Okay. And I said, yes, that's ideal because you are a leader, but you can get better this way. And guide them through the process to say that, okay, innovative planning, how are you going to achieve those? And how do you want to be better organized? Okay. So guide them through the first couple of sessions, first few levels, and be there along with them to guide them in the path and saying that if this is your objective, how are you going to ensure that you're going to reach those objectives? And possibly one of the things could be and what we call as dynamic leadership. And we say that, yes, you might be a leader, but you can be a better communicator, a better leader. And these are the ways you can use the Toastmasters program to help you achieve those goals. And it's very important. I think the crucial one is helping the member identify these are the areas. You can improve in all areas. And there is no aspect where you can say, I'm perfect in this. There are only other areas I want to improve. Every area you can improve. But identify this is the specific skill I want to sharpen. This is the specific skill I am interested to become better, and find out how a particular pathway is going to help fulfill that skill, and how a particular responsibility in the club is going to help you fulfill that objective. I think the mentor plays a crucial role rather than the VP education himself. I hope I have answered the question.
Thank you, sir. DTM Vinod, any further clarity on that? I think it was beautifully explained.
No, thank you very much, DTM Ramesh. It was very nicely explained. And there are many clubs. What would you suggest for a new club when there are no mentors? Means maybe one club mentor they may be having.
Okay. The mentors for new members does not have to be restricted only to your club. Yeah, especially you have a new club, you can always seek help from other senior members, people who are willing to spend some time to help out the new members. So you don't have to restrict yourself mentors only from your own club. You can always have, especially if you're a new club, ensure that every club meeting you have a few senior members from other clubs who are able to come and pick up roles and also guide a few members. And you will definitely find senior members willing to do it, because mentoring is not just about helping somebody else. In the process of mentoring, the mentor learns a lot. Which is true for every club officer role.
Thank you, sir. And I really like that the way you said to understand the reason why a member has joined and to guide them through the process of selecting path and then deciding their learning journey. Help the member, means my main point was some members or some XCOM decides the learning goal for members. I have seen that happening, and then the member gets fixed, like they tell that you have to do this project and all. So I always felt that it's better the member understands the program and then selects his own journey. And very nicely explained. Thank you, DTM Ramesh.
Thank you. See, the member chooses the path. The VP education can still give the goals to say that, we would like you to complete your level 1 and level 2 before the end of this year. Level 1 by this December, level 2 by March or June, whatever it is. It is important because quite often, just like how the club of officers needs goal, the members also, it's important they identify a goal to reach, saying that, okay, even though I've decided my path, I cannot be sitting and just completed my icebreaker in 6 months. Okay, you need to have a plan to say that I need to complete level 1 within 6 months. Because if the learning does not continuously happen, if people are not pushed towards learning, you will see people wandering away. People will be there and they will attend meetings, but the main reason why they join Toastmasters to become a better communicator, better leader, that does not happen. Okay, so it's very important that the mentor chooses the path and guides the people through the path, and the VP education sets some targets in consultation with the members.
Thank you.
So in continuation to what you just said, we have an interesting question from Toastmaster Raghu Raman, who asks how to choose the right mentor.
You don't necessarily need to restrict yourself into a single mentor. One is the most important one is a mentor should be somebody who is willing to spend time with you. I think that time is an important aspect. Willing to spend the time with you. That is the only thing which is required. You don't have to necessarily choose just a mentor. And once you have taken the first few steps, which anybody who's willing to invest their time with you, you can take the first few steps, and you get to interact more and more with other people. You can choose more mentors. Okay. For me, I have multiple mentors. Okay, and every mentor adds a different aspect of learning to me. Okay, so you don't have to restrict it. I think you don't have to say that, oh, because my VP education has assigned this person as a mentor. I cannot choose anybody else as a mentor. You can choose as many people as a mentor. The VP education does the initial step for you to say that I'm starting my baby steps in Toastmasters. I'm not very familiar with people, but at least there is one go-to person to whom I can go and start my learning journey. So you can have as many mentors as you want, and there is nothing ideal saying that this is an ideal mentor. Everybody is on a learning path here in Toastmasters, including the mentors. So quite often you will see that a mentee is teaching the mentor.
Thank you so much, sir. Next, we have a question from Toastmaster Yunus. He wants you to throw some light on the goal setting for VP education. And there's another question. What is the criteria for mentoring? So some light on the goal setting for VP education and what are the criteria for mentoring?
Okay, goal
So,
setting.
yeah.
Okay, goal setting for VP education. A reference is always the club distinguished club program manual. It says, okay, these are the goals. These are the educational goals which the club has to achieve. So that becomes a good goal. And all the VP education needs to do is find out the resources or the members who are going to be helping him achieving those goals. So if you want to say that, okay, goals, your goals are already set in the DCP program. You need to have X number of level 1s, X number of level 2s, X number of level 3s, so many DTMs. So all you need to do is identify the resources and appropriate resources. You don't pick up somebody who's just starting his level 1 and saying that, oh, he's going to do a level 5 completion by this year. So you need to pick up somebody who's done a level 3 or a level 4 and target that person as this person is going to get my level 5 requirement for the DCP program. So the goals are as such set in the DCP manual. And all you need to do is identify the members who's going to meet or fit into each one of those goals. And the second one, in terms of the mentoring process, rather than me giving an off-the-cuff answer, I think there is a specific project about mentoring. In Pathways, I would request you to go through that resource. And incidentally, that is an additional path I'm doing right now in terms of the mentoring. I am also learning. So I would, rather than giving you a simple answer, I would request you to go through, pick up that path, which is there under Pathways mentoring program. Kick that off and it's got all the resources you want on mentoring.
Thank you so much, sir. We have another question from a very fresh member who is also part of DTC. She asks how to set targets for a secretary role because it's not really a goal-oriented role. Sir,
You have to
unmute
unmute
yourself.
Okay, the secretary role is something which is quite often not truly understood. Because the secretary is not somebody who just does minutes of the meeting and sends it out. A secretary is the only other person other than the president who is allowed to vote in the TMI international elections. Secretary is not what we call as a secretarial work. The secretary's job is more of as a company secretary, as we would call it. The company secretary ensures that all the key documents, all the key parts of the club are all done effectively, and all the key decisions are all well communicated to the members. Okay. Now, one aspect of what a secretary has to do is in terms of the minutes of the meeting, and you can make very, very innovative minutes of the meeting. And I don't know if any of the people have looked at the Take Debate Club's minutes of the meeting. Okay, every minutes of the meeting is like reading a short story, and the amount of innovation and creativity which comes in through that is amazing. And you look at it and saying that, oh, I can learn all these skills being a secretary. So I do not see saying club secretary's role being very small or very underrated. And if you go through again the club leadership handbook, there are a list of responsibilities. Not just the minutes of the meeting of just the club meeting, of including the executive committee meeting and ensuring that all appropriate decisions are properly minuted and communicated and accepted by the club. Okay, so I do not believe that the role of a secretary is not well defined.
Thank you, sir, for that elaborate goal. I think, yeah, you actually threw some light on the secretarial role. We have another question from Toastmaster Anup. It's like, okay, so he's asking, how can we avoid clubs chasing DCP numbers, degrading the member experience by providing slots to folks who can give them an educational point, or attracting members from folks who are really not interested in the club?
I think an important aspect is something our division director did in the Toastmasters Club, the moments of truth. Okay, it is very important that every club conducts a moment of truth exercise at least once a year. Okay, ideally it should be twice a year, because the moment of truth exposes all the deficiencies of the club. If you see that the club VP education or the club leadership is only focusing on a few members, you will see the majority of the members not being happy with the club climate. Okay, and it's very, very important. I cannot emphasize the moment of truth exercise sufficiently, and I would urge all the club officers to go through that moments of truth and ensure that you ideally do it within the next month or so, because that gives you a good platform to say that what does the club members feel about the club, what are the areas where they feel the club can do better, and how do we ensure that we do better in those areas. So if you see that a club which is just focusing on DCP is running after a few members and achieving it, that is a recipe for a sick club soon. You will just have 3-4 members, and you will not have anybody coming in for club meetings. You will not have anybody renewing it. So it's very important that you identify these at the earliest.
Very well answered that to that tricky question, sir. I don't have any more questions from the chat box, and since we have, maybe we can just take one question from the audience. I'll open it to the floor. Anyone who wants to ask one last question, because I think we've just run green. No. So on that note, I would like to hand over the session to our MC, Toastmaster Mariam.
Thank you so much, Jyoti. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I hope I'm audible. Am I okay? Can you hear me? Good, great. Tonight's session was a great experience. Personally, at least for myself, it was very great. I believe everyone who attended today got a benefit out of it. Put our virtual and actual hands together for our division division director, Toastmaster Harish Krishnan.
Thank you, Mariam. Good evening, all. Thank you all for joining us today for this very first session of Division B managed by Area 20. The most reliable way to predict the future is to create it, right? And how do we do that? Setting your goals and plan them to achieve it, right? And when do you do that? Beginning of the year, and here we are. It was indeed a valuable session. One second. Yeah, it was indeed a valuable session with some real takeaways, which can be applied just not with our roles in Toastmasters, but also in real walks of life. Thank you, DTM Ramesh Ananathraman, for being an insightful trainer this evening and for adding value to us with your wealth of experience. Thank you. Let's give a huge round of applause to Toastmaster Ramesh Ananathraman. As division, it's our duty to enrich and empower our patrons by delivering valuable education sessions. I take this opportunity to thank Division B advisor DTM Radhakrishnan for suggesting this idea, as it aligns with our core belief system, which is empowerment. We, the core team, did not have a second thought and just accepted it wholeheartedly. And guess what? Here we are. Just to reiterate, Division B is focusing on empowering its areas to take the lead. And we have a series of education sessions that we have lined up. And this being the first one by Area 20 on setting goals and planning. Our areas will be delivering all the education sessions from the 12 education session series, which is already posted. We have carefully handpicked the topics, looking at the Toastmaster calendar as what should happen when, based on that. We are also quite happy that all areas accepted this proposition and even with more enthusiasm. So thank you, Area 20 Director Toastmaster Nisar Melhem, for taking this forward and making it happen. Thank you, Assistant Area Director Program Quality Toastmaster Anita Biju, Assistant Director, Area Director Club Growth Toastmaster Jyoti Kedia, and our Area Secretary and MC Toastmaster Mariam Gabriel. I would also like to thank a few other Toastmasters who made this happen. Toastmaster Bosco for being a Zoom master, thank you. Toastmaster Rauf as a timer, thank you again. We also have the dignitaries, which is already been acknowledged by our MC today. But again, we have, I'll just repeat it because some of the names I think she must not be familiar with. Ditya Muba, our Division B advisor and past Region 11 advisor as well. DTM Vinod Panikar, immediate past Division B director. Area Director 21, Toastmaster Muniba Ali. Area 23 Director, Toastmaster Pragnya Venigalla. Area Director Rohini Mendonka. And Area Director 42, Toastmaster Vijay Ayyapan. Now, our next session will be on mentoring by Area 21 by DTM Dr. Christine Kumbe, which was already announced in the initial sessions. More details also will be announced in due course.